I was like, oh, dude, wow, yeah, you need to retire from Batman. So,
or Jennifer Lopez, one of the two. Retire from, just quit one or the other, right?
hey, what's going on, guys? It's Raiderlance and
IceyEyedGnome.
all right, so IEG just reminded me we need to get to it because we just saw the flash of the premiere and we want to review it for you guys. But first, housekeeping: like, share, subscribe. We need all the help you guys can give us for a small little channel. All right, IEG, overall movie rating. What'd you think?
I would rate this somewhere around 7.5, 8.
I would actually give it 8.5 to a 9. It was better than most of the Marvel movies I've ever seen. And this is from not a huge DC fan. I haven't seen any of the Justice League. You know why, and you shouldn't have either. Without much foreknowledge, I really enjoyed it. I was really surprised.
There was a ton of hype around this movie. Everybody was talking about for months how good it was and that kind of stuff.
I can see why.
I really did enjoy the movie. But on a scale of 1 to 10, I stay firm at a 7.5, possibly 8.
Why did it drop a couple points for you?
Yeah, and without spoiling the movie, which we'll get to in a little bit, but the CGI was not great. There were some really good scenes, potentially good scenes, that were just ruined by poor animation.
Okay, so video stuff, eyeballing movies and the quality like that, that's your realm. So I'm not going to say you're wrong. As a layman, I thought it was fantastic CGI in most of the parts, especially, when he's running super fast. That was great. Some of the people, yeah, you could tell it was CGI. Sometimes you could tell, those were new heads on people, or that was a CGI person. But like, what movie in your book would be a 10 for CGI?
Man of Steel had better CGI, and that movie is 10 years old. So, okay. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think, Man of Steel, obviously Zack Snyder's Justice League had really good CGI.
So for most people without IEG's eagle eye for video animations, I think you probably won't notice it. It's kind of like the review I did for the Transformers. Wasn't the best, but it was still pretty darn good. I think it did detract too much from the movie. Was there anything else beside the CGI that, made the rating drop for you?
So the story
Ben Affleck
was like really good.
I think Ben Affleck was what you were going to say, right?
No, Ben Affleck was fucking awful in this film.
Yeah, okay, there you go. Yeah.
I will agree with you. Like, he was my favorite Batman, but he was fucking awful in this one. So,
in my personal opinion, seeing him comparatively to the other Batmans on screen highlighted how shitty he is as Batman.
And we can say that because everybody knows Michael Keaton was there. So, yes.
What were you most looking forward to in this movie?
Oh, Michael Keaton's Batman. The return of Michael Keaton. That was it.
Same here.
The rest of the movie could have been shit. I didn't care if Ezra Miller was on screen for 3 seconds. Michael Keaton could have just stood there eating a banana for 30 minutes, and I would have paid full price for the movie ticket.
I was also looking forward to Michael Keaton. I thought they were going to change his character up, though. I did not think that they were going to allow him to be the same Batman character, if that makes sense.
You thought they were going to go with like a different timeline?
No, I thought they were
different style, or
something like that. I thought they were going to put him in the suit, and he wouldn't be that just same grimy, no bullshit. They're like the perfect scenes where the Flash hits him up and he goes, "All right, so you want to help us?" And he goes, "Nah, pass." Like, that's Michael Keaton's Batman, right? They kept the personality the same. I thought that was fantastic.
I never thought that they would change his character, though. I thought that they, just to appease the fans, they would keep Michael Keaton in the same...
Thank God.
Same Bruce Wayne / Batman, right? I thought they would keep the same demeanor. He brought something new to the character that nobody has been able to replicate or duplicate since.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that.
Was there anything else you were looking forward to in this movie?
I was really interested in how they were going to portray Kara Zor-El, Superman's cousin, in this film, just because we've seen her character in so many other iterations throughout television and film throughout the years.
I didn't want to like her. And I was just like, God, this is a beautiful girl. And she's not my type. And that was man, you guys go see it just for that. I don't care that she's wearing an animated suit. I dare even say she made, if her and Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot, was standing next to each other, I think Supergirl would probably win the day.
Really?
Yeah. I think, Gal Gadot's beautiful, but yeah, she was stunning. What completely surprised you or blew you away? I think I kind of already tipped my hand. Supergirl. That'd be the one for me.
Well, now we're in spoiler territory. So I was really surprised about how they brought back George Clooney's character. I did not see that coming.
I hated it. I literally, it was dead quiet in the movie theater, and I went, shit. And then people just started busting out laughing.
See, in my theater, everybody lost their minds.
Oh,
right?
really?
It was a chain of events, right? So people started screaming. We had this huge group, side shot, but we had this huge group of like 12 to 14-year-old kids. It looked like a soccer team that was like taking up a whole section of the theater. And so it was like a chain reaction. Like one person was like, woo! And then it just like all these like 12-year-olds were screaming. And I was like, shut the fuck up. You weren't even alive when he was Batman.
How do you know him from being Batman?
Just the twist on how they brought him back. Everybody kind of knew that they were going to bring him back.
Mm-hmm.
But how they brought him back kind of caught me off guard. It surprised me a little bit. But yeah, I did realize that when he went back into the past to change it back to the way that it should have been, but then made an adjustment last minute. I was like, oh, right. He changed it.
Right, right.
That's it.
All right. So I would say there's a couple like small things that blew me away in this movie. One, that George Clooney looks way better at his age than Ben Affleck does. Those marriages have been rough on Ben Affleck, and for that, man, you have my sincerest condolences, because man, you got weathered. You almost look like Fighter Wizard. So that's
rough. That's rough.
Another thing that surprised me was the level of humor. I actually busted out laughing quite a few times. I didn't think Ezra Miller's quirkiness was funny, but the scene where Deanna, Wonder Woman, got the lasso of truth accidentally around Batman and the Flash, and then their commentary, I thought I couldn't stop cracking up about that. One, I was really blown away from the introductory scene in the nursery. Normally people would pull back seeing little babies in danger. And I'm not just talking about like, oh, there's a burning building and babies are in danger. You fly and you save them. Like, they got pretty graphic about the things that were going to happen to these small children. And I was, as a parent, I was a little like, I'm not too comfortable with this. So I thought that was, I don't know, brave, bold by the director. And they pulled it off. It was a great scene.
There was acid. There was sharp objects.
Yeah.
Fire. There was a canister that was on fire, oxygen canister.
Yeah, it made
all kinds of stuff.
I got nervous for that scene. I can't remember getting nervous in a superhero scene or movie in a very long time, but I was starting to feel anxiety. Another thing I did not expect, and probably what blew me away the most, was how emotional the story got and how heavy and deep it was. You see Batman and he loses his parents, and you see a lot of other tragic superhero movies. This one, I thought, pulled on the heartstrings deeper and harder. I mean, it was up there to like John Wick 1 level, where you were just like, oh my God, they better keep the lights off in this movie theater, because I'm going to get humiliated if they turn this shit on. I couldn't believe how heavy it was.
Yeah. To touch base back on what you said about Ben Affleck, he looked rough. Like, he looked gaunt. You know what I mean? Like, his face was like sunken in. He looked like Jennifer Lopez just told him like he couldn't go hang out with the boys anymore. You know what I mean? Like, just and they fucked his suit up. His nose looked all fucking weird. I don't know what happened, but
for a while there, Okay, so in a couple scenes, they had to CGI like Ezra Miller, right? So there was like body doubles, and they CGI'd quite a few people in this movie, not just their suits, their entire persons. I thought they had CGI'd Ben Affleck because he looked so mm, close to looking real. But no, that was him, and I was like, "Oh, dude, wow, yeah, you need to retire from Batman." So
Or Jennifer Lopez, one of the two. Retire from, just quit one or the other, right?
I don't know if you can quit from her. That's a whole lot of woman right there.
He tried,
Yeah, yeah,
or she
exactly,
tried, one of the two.
exactly.
Yeah.
The last thing I was blown away with. Okay, I hate time travel. I hate multiverse stories. I typically categorize them in two ways. One, Back to the Future type of time travel where you can go in the past, fix stuff, and then your future is a-okay. Then you got butterfly effect, bad time travel where no matter what you do, you always break something else, right? In this movie, they kind of did a little bit of both, and they gave one of the coolest explanations of time travel, and they did it with food.
Yeah, so the spaghetti explanation,
Yeah.
where Michael Keaton talks about fulcrum in time as comparative to Back to the Future, which I love that they referenced the fact that
Yep.
Michael J. Fox was not the original uh, person chosen to play Marty McFly, right?
Oh, I
So,
didn't know that.
yeah, no, originally they had already started filming the movie with the other actor, and then Michael J. Fox, like there was some contention there when they were filming Back to the Future, where the actor that was originally supposed to play Marty McFly wanted to take a more dramatic approach to the character, and they weren't looking for that.
Oh wow.
So after like well into shooting, they like fired him and then hired Michael J. Fox, who at the time was on like some sitcom. They brought
Family
him
ties.
in to replace him. Yeah. So they referenced that, and they referenced that with a couple of different things.
Yeah. Do you think this movie will help repair Ezra Miller's reputation?
Has what he done already damaged his reputation so poorly that he can't ever repair it? Do I think he was a great actor in this movie? Absolutely. I think he did a fantastic job. I think he sold the character in portraying Barry Allen. I don't know if it was good enough to fix it for forever.
All right.
And I don't know that like he'll continue to play the Flash forever, because James Gunn has already made a statement saying that Blue Beetle is one of the only characters he plans to bring into the new universe
Oh.
fully. And he said that Superman Legacy is going to be the beginning of the new DCEU, right? So this Flash may or may not stick around. We may get another version of the Flash later down the road.
Okay. So from the comic books, was Barry Allen as I don't know neurotic as portrayed in this movie? I mean, they were basically saying that he was almost like an incel who just was really good at science. And I don't recall the Flash being like that from the comics or some of the older movies I watched.
Yeah, so especially in the earlier comics, the Flash has always been like a character who was very intelligent, but
Yeah, yeah,
who never took himself very seriously.
yeah. He's a bit of a
There
jokester.
was no, yeah, there was no drama. He was more of like the Spider-Man in the Marvel
It's a
universe.
great way to put it. Yeah.
Um, so he was always quick-witted. He was always had these like funny catchphrases and just would say silly things. He was the comic relief of the group until Hal Jordan, Green Lantern, whatever, kind of came into the picture for the JLA. But
Yeah, they made him a little too neurotic for me. I don't think that they needed him to go that far. And I was just wondering, is that the character that was written in the script, or was that just Ezra Miller bleeding out?
it just sounds like he is a guy who's not very sure of himself when he's talking. And
Okay.
so he says words that I don't think he fully understands because he's trying to make himself seem more intelligent or more understanding. So it seems like he is very much trying to make himself fit in when he's not acting. And so I
I
think
see what
some
you're
of
saying.
that bleeds into his acting.
I I have seen some people with that high anxiety or social awkwardness, and a lot of times, there's some underlying medical reason, right? Whether they're, autistic or they have Asperger's or something to that extent. And the way he portrayed this character, I mean, I'm not sure if it was, written in the script for him to have these, like, let's just call them social tics, but, or if it was just Ezra Miller bleeding out. So I was just wondering, what did you think was going on with this? Because I think they made his character a lot more awkward than he needed to be.
But you have to keep in mind that a lot of this movie had been recut and reshuffled and refilmed
Okay.
because they've changed the story a couple of times, especially
Mm.
after the announcement. Prior to the announcement of James Gunn.
All right. As for my opinion, Ezra Miller's reputation, I pragmatically, because of the time we're in, I would say probably not. But I think in general, if you look throughout, and when I say history in like the last 40 years, you know, if you're a winner, people seem to forgive you. I mean, look at Mike Tyson, right? There's just a lot of actors. Look at Robert Downey Jr., Rob Lowe. Like, there's a lot of actors who've done, I'm sorry, way worse, and they have a budding career now. So, what is your response to the critic reviews? I believe most of the critics had very high ratings. Do you think they were correct?
Rotten Tomatoes scores gave the audience rating a 98% audience rating.
I can see that.
That's where the film was. Today, this afternoon, right before we saw the film, it was at 95%.
Okay. Not too much of a fall off.
I don't think that it meets the hype. And that's not to say that I don't think that it's a good movie. I think that it is good. Out of the last decade of DC films, it is definitely top 3.
What would be your top 2 then?
Zack Snyder's Justice League and Wonder Woman.
I did think Wonder Woman was very good. Of course, I've never seen Justice League for obvious reasons. So for me, I didn't read any of the critics' reviews. I actually had very low expectations because I've heard a lot of the DC movies were not good. I was blown away because I had the opposite, situation. I had very low expectations, and I thoroughly enjoyed this movie more than a lot of these, the more recent Marvel franchise movies. So I think the critics are right. It's a fantastic movie. All right, now let's move over to cameos or Easter eggs. Now, because this is the multiverse, of course, we're going to get tons of cameos and Easter eggs. So why don't you run us through them?
One of the first worlds that we see colliding into the Coliseum of Time includes a couple of cameos. The first one being George Reeves, who is of no relation to Christopher Reeves, the original Flash for all intents and purposes, who's also played by the same actor who portrayed him in the Flash television series, which I thought was really cool because we got kind of 2 in 1. We got the original on-screen Superman, live-action Superman, and then we have the original Flash portrayed by a character who recently portrayed him in the TV series.
Which were the non-cool cameos?
I didn't. Go ahead.
I'll take this over. All right. When the fuck did Nicolas Cage ever become Superman?
Oh, dude, that was like one of my favorite parts.
No.
So Nick Cage.
Go ahead. I'll tell you. I was racking my brain and I figured out what universe he is. Nick Cage, being Superman, is the same universe as Ben Affleck being Batman. Goddammit, it's a shitty universe, and we should get rid of it.
Okay, so I agree with you that Ben Affleck was total shit in this movie. Me and my wife commented about it.
This movie,
he looked awful. I fucking loved him as Batman. If he had gotten the chance to do the solo Batman film, I think that he would have been able to save his reputation. They probably would not have recast him, or would have at least continued his stories in the DC Elseworlds, right? Versus Robert Pattinson, fucking Twilight boy playing Batman. They gave him a second film. Like, oh, fuck off.
For anyone missing the context, go watch IEG and my old episode of who was the best Batman, and you'll understand that this is an ongoing fight that even the Flash couldn't fix. Okay, so any other cameos or Easter eggs?
Supergirl and Christopher Reeves, obviously, from the same era, which Christopher Reeves, everybody adores. Crowd went wild when he appeared. Supergirl, I don't know if you've ever seen that original movie.
Yeah.
90% of it takes place in the same room.
That I don't remember.
Yeah, it's like legitimately they're just like walking around Krypton or whatever the fuck. It's awful. From what I've heard, she was there. They just de-aged her. But like, let's be honest, that was a full fucking CGI. There's no de-aging somebody who's like now 50 years older.
Yeah, it was the equivalent of them applying 2 Instagram filters on her.
But seeing Christopher Reeves as Superman was like a big deal. We also got Adam West, cameo as Batman, which like I thought was like a beautiful, like tribute to him.
It was like a scene of This Is Your Life, just panning through. Most people won't understand the context of that, but look it up and you'll understand.
We got one of the first. I'm not sure the actor's name, so some people will probably hate me in the comments, but there was another live action Batman pre Adam West. And we saw a glimpse of that. And it was from, I forget what they used to call them, the serials.
Oh, I don't know what you're.
So there was like George Reeves did serials of Superman, right? Like short live action interactions, right? It's kind of how the basis of Superman and Lois, or Adventures of Lois and Clark, or whatever the fuck that awful TV show was.
No,
from the
disagree.
90s.
Terry Hatcher, prime Terry Hatcher, saved the show.
There was no saving that show. It was like somebody turned on a fan and closed a window, and it was like, oh, here's dipshit appearing as Superman.
I watched it with the audio off, so I don't. It was prime Terry.
Audio there.
It was prime Terry Hatcher. Come on.
Anyways, so yeah, I mean, there were several cameos. There were probably some that we missed.
Oh, I'm sure.
In some of those Coliseum type, the Time Coliseum, there were so many images of characters from the past, present, and future that I'm sure that if we were able to break down the video, we had the original footage, we could find things for days. I'm sure that there's a lot of hidden things we didn't get to see in our first viewing, but yeah, those are the big ones.
And one thing I wanted to bring up that I was proven right is we finally got to see Michael Keaton's Batman kicking ass with legitimate technique. Way better than Ben Affleck. Way better. Did not disappoint. He had a suit he could move in, and he ripped through people. It was freaking amazing. It was like Batman as John Wick.
2 things about that. One, I love that Newberry or past Barry rather wears the bat suit.
Yeah,
right. The old bat suit. The Batman Returns 1992 bat suit. That's what he wears. That one scene where they're in the bat plane and he looks over to Barry on his right and he turns his neck and the mask stretches across his face. Oh, is
that why they did it? I didn't catch that.
Yeah, because he can't turn in that suit. Michael Keaton couldn't turn his neck in that suit. So then later, like, Barry rips the neck off so he can have like free range of motion.
I didn't understand that was a callback to that. Oh, that's amazing.
And then, so the other part was like, I 100% agree. I had a conversation with my wife about how much Michael Keaton's fight scene, especially when they're breaking out Kara Zor-El from that Russian like encampment or whatever, like, holy shit. When he says, oh, this is going to hurt, and then drops down and beats the fuck out of everybody. It was like one of the best fight scenes ever. And it is the best Batman fight scene, and it totally trumps Ben Affleck's warehouse scene.
That spinning sidekick that Batman did on that Russian soldier into the pillar was equivalent to Joe Rogan's spinning sidekick on the bag on the internet. I mean, that stuntman had to get hazard pay for that. There's no way he went without broken ribs from that kick. It was a fantastic technique. Blown away. The one critique I have, I didn't like how much he turned himself into a human shield, taking AK-47 rounds bouncing off his back while he's protecting other people. I think they used that a little bit too much. It was kind of silly. Like, yes, we understand you have body armor, but you cannot take a couple hundred rounds of bullets to your back. Body armor hasn't come that far.
We don't know.
From a ballistic standpoint, it was a little ridiculous. I wish we had used a little bit more smoke bombs, a little bit more something or another. It was awesome between the martial art techniques and his use of, his tools during the fight. Man, I saw that and I was like, all right, I'm good. I don't have to see the rest of this movie. I'm happy. So we can say we're both, satiated with Michael Keaton's return as Batman, and we can finally close out the discussion that he is now the best Batman and Bruce Wayne.
All things considered, Michael Keaton now is king of the bats.
Yes.
Right? He is. Yeah.
I'm glad we can bury that conversation. All right. Now, as for the post-credit scene, I didn't get it. I didn't see why it was necessary. I didn't see how it was important. I guess it was major comic relief after the heavy ending. But other than that, why the hell did they do this?
So I'm not sure. I don't know specifically, but I fully believe that this post-credit scene that we got with Jason Momoa returning as Aquaman and that kind of stuff, and then the conversation with Barry is setting up for the new Aquaman movie.
Okay.
And it's just saying that, hey, you're the same person in all these other, this multiverse, right? These other universes, you're pretty much the same person.
Yeah.
Batman's different in every single one.
Right.
Which frees them up from ever having to use any of the other Batman. So Michael Keaton, Ben Affleck, whomever, right? George Clooney is probably not going to make another appearance. It frees them up to use whoever they want to as Batman, but it keeps the possibility that Jason Momoa may return as Aquaman, at least for a short period of time.
Got it.
In the future.
And the only other thing I'd like to, and I'm not going to spoil the whole part, but I will say, if you have small children, it is a bit of a heavy story, especially at the way they wrap up the movie. So like, my wife asked me, she's like, hey, so can we take the kids? I said, we could take my son, but we can't take, my daughter who's a lot younger. She cannot watch that storyline. So a little bit of caution. I would say maybe 10 older, and if they're super attached to you, maybe a little bit older than that. But that would be my only warning for the movie. I'm glad I didn't take my kids. They're just too young.
There was also quite a bit of nudity and profanity in this film.
Nudity?
Yeah, Barry Allen.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
For like a whole minute.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
He's
You're
like
right.
butt ass naked. Yeah,
he's
no full frontal, but
yeah, he's covering himself with utensils or something like that.
It's a spork. No,
yeah, and they do reference sex. You're right. I was thinking about, you were saying female nudity. I'm like, no, Supergirl was always covered. But no, you're right. Barry Allen he burned off his clothes running too quickly. That's what happened. So yeah, no, I'm glad you pointed that out. So yeah, kids, I think it has a PG-13 rating for a reason.
I would appreciate it as a moviegoer if you didn't take your kids to go see this film.
All right. Well, any final words from you? Did you want to apologize and finally admit I was right this whole time about Ben Affleck? I mean, I think that would
Ben Affleck was still a great Batman. It's just that Michael Keaton has secured his place as the best Batman in this movie for sure.
Sounds like this conversation is going to just continue on. All right, everybody. We appreciate your time. Hopefully you enjoyed hanging out with us. And if you are willing to listen, we are willing to talk. Catch you later.